There we go.
Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we help families simplify the college planning process. And, sometimes, Bobby, we're venturing into career and all the things about growing up, right?
Absolutely. I mean, college planning is planning, for the rest of your life, right? It's all about getting started.
Yes. And we have another topic for our Hard Things Are Not That Hard series.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, Bobby, families can really look at this and go, this is hard.
Hmm.
This is hard. And well, we're going to talk about today and next week is failure to launch
Okay.
and what some of our kids are going through where, they just might not be looking like they're ready to jump into the adult world.
Yeah. So that's what I guess failure launch. You get out of college and you come home and then you're not finding a job and then you just kind of get stuck going in circles and don't go anywhere,
Yeah.
right?
And it can actually even start before that.
Yeah.
Like I just got a call from a mom a couple days ago and she said, Kristin, my kid's playing video games.
Hmm.
What are we going to do? I'm not quite sure what my next step is. So,
Right. So yeah, I mean, I guess you could be in college and, if you don't pick a major or you change your major and you fail to launch on your major, right? Then suddenly you're in that taking 5 or 6 years to graduate, right?
right. And there are little red flags that are coming up even then. This particular student flunked his last two classes. The last month, he just kind of took off and just
Oh,
said,
wow.
I'm not doing it. Right.
Man.
So what
Yeah.
prompted this conversation today is I was reading the book Failure to Launch. And, one of the things that came up in there was something that really does keep our kids from feeling like they're ready to move forward that I thought was really worth the conversation because I see it a lot in my coaching.
Hmm.
And that is where they're really asking themselves, can I even do this? Like, am I capable of doing X?
Hmm.
And X can be a lot of things.
Right.
Well, and especially think about this time of life, there's lots of change going on. You're possibly moving out of your parents' house, you're having to figure out how to feed yourself, how to, do your laundry, all those things that they start to get, a little bit of overwhelm.
Hmm.
And I think then they start really questioning their ability, right, to do a lot of things because they start to get in a little bit of a churn.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think it's easy to be like, I don't know what the first step is, so I'm just not going to take any steps. Right.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. And, I got to tell you, there's one thing that I've actually been putting off that I realize, and it's something really stupid, Bobby. And I can see my camera stop, so we'll just keep talking. But
right.
um, I have to send something back to Fantastic
Hmm.
site that I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to just take a little bit of work. It's a 5-minute job.
Right.
It's been sitting on my thing for 3 months. It's
Oh,
stupid.
that happens so often. Is just, yeah, I mean, that's, it seems like simple procrastination, but it's just like, I have to sit for 5 minutes and figure out what the steps are to do it. And until I do that, I can't do it. And so I haven't taken that 5 minutes. Right.
Right. And I have the nagging husband going, when are you going to do that? When are you going to do that? And I'm sure that's what a parent sounds like to a kid.
Yep.
Right.
Sure.
But one of the things that I see in my coaching a lot is, parents a lot of times will come to me to help their child figure out a career path and what's kind of next. And a lot of times, Bobby, I say, this isn't that hard. I would tell you my gut feel is about 65-70% of the kids already have something they're thinking about.
Hmm.
And what I find is I'm always like, they'll tell me, hey, I'm thinking about this. And I'm like, that's awesome. Tell me more about that. And the more they
Hmm.
talk about it, the more excited they get, right?
Right.
And I really feel like it's this head nod that it's like, this is a good idea. And we talk about what are the next steps,
Hmm.
and I get why with parents it's harder. Don't get me wrong. I totally get that because sometimes you don't want to show all your cards to your parents.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it is that step by step, here's how you move forward.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Like, with my students when I'm tutoring, like I've found that a lot of times, it works a lot better when I say, okay, so what is your plan between now and 3 weeks from now when the test hits? What are you going to do? And then just have them tell me, right? And some students will say, well, okay, I'm gonna, on this day, I'm gonna take half of a test or take a full test, and then a few days later, I'm gonna take another test and things like that. But then other students will just say, oh, well, I don't know. Right. I don't know what I'm going to have time to do. And that's when I start delving into it and say, okay, so, well, you need to find this amount of time to do this and figure out when you're going to do it. Right. And some students need that, some don't, but part of it is just walking through it, right, step by step, and saying, okay, here are the things. But you're absolutely right that if you leave it open-ended and say, tell me about it, right, they often, as they talk through it, they figure it out, right?
They really do. And I think it really empowers them too, Bobby, to go, okay, I can figure this out. But I think the difference too is when we're coaching, we're giving them stuff in much smaller chunks, where it's not so overwhelming.
Right.
And we're walking them, we're kind of holding their hand and walking them through. One thing in the book that really kind of hit me as how small of these issues can really stop a kid is they were talking about a parent and a dad and a son that were talking about that the son said, I need a car to get to work. And the dad's like, but there's a bus that goes right down in front of your work. Why do you need a car? Justify it. And the kid was getting more agitated. And the more they delved into it, it was that the kid really had no idea how to ride the bus system.
Right. Well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you haven't ever done it, right, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And it's scary, and you're in front of other people. So you don't know if you pay when you get on or when you get off. I mean, I know it sounds like crazy, silly stuff, but when you're looking at the whole thing, it's hard. So literally what those people, the dad and son, did was they took a Saturday, they got on the bus, they took it downtown, and by the middle of the day, the kid knew how to ride the bus and problem solved.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I mean, it is funny that, like, a lot of times, you'll find yourself in, I don't know of an exact example, but I can remember, I mean, I think this happened with the family over Thanksgiving. It's like, how do we get from this thing from here to there? And several of us were like discussing it, but like there was this really easy solution, but we're like, oh, you can put this in there and take it over. Like it was like there was this really obvious solution, but we were all stuck for a minute, not because we hadn't thought of the steps, right, and realized, oh, we have this available to us, and that's part of, like, I think what I try to do with the tutoring sometimes with students is give them that ability to kind of work it out, figure it out, right, on the bigger things, and say, okay, how, what is the best way for you to do this, right? But you do have to talk through these things. And I think that's kind of the point, right? Is that you have to get the kid talking. And that's the only way you can find out what they don't know, right?
Right. And Bobby, it could be something really small. It could be something bigger, but you don't know until you have the conversation. Absolutely. And sometimes, as you and I know, that requires bringing somebody else into the picture. Not always. But I think a lot of times, it just helps for a kid to have that outside resource to be able to go, okay, Kristin, it's just you and me here. How do I do this?
Oh, that's such a big thing. Right. And that's what I think the real value of students getting to meet with coaches, meet with someone like you or someone like me is that they often are afraid to, look dumb in front of their parents or whatever. Right. But when you're with a third party, they'll ask the right questions. And I think that's so much, tying it into getting into college and launching in college and after college is, like if you're like, I mean, I know this happens to students freshman year, sophomore year, they get a project in class and it just seems overwhelming and they don't know how to start it. Right. Yeah. And students don't realize that professors have office hours, right? And if you go in and you say, hey, I don't know how to start this, will you help me? That's what they will do, right? The professor will sit and talk you through it,
Yes, Bobby, you're bringing up a really good point too. And I think that is a couple good points. Number one, ask for help and be okay with that. And that's what they're there for. I mean, I think a lot of times kids think colleges are like this mysterious thing. And I'm like, no, it's a business.
Yeah.
You're paying them, they're there to help. But I think the other thing is having little wins like that, where they feel successful because they're like, oh, I tried that and it worked, gives them a lot more oompah to get out there and ask the next hard question.
Absolutely. I think that's what it's all about. And so I mean, I'm really intrigued. I want to read this book as well and learn more about this. But so this will be a series, right? We're going to talk about some other tips in upcoming weeks. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many good nuggets in here, and it's called Failure to Launch. It's by Mark McConville, and it's really helping parents really understand, again, why kids are having these issues, especially more these days than ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds great.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Bobby, this was great. Next week, we'll talk about one more area that we can consider when kids are feeling like they're stuck. And I guess we will see you then. And hopefully
Sounds
my
great.
camera sticks with me then.
Exactly right. All right. Well,